Hello, dear friends. Here we are. Wisdom for the Spiritist Practitioner. And I'm here, Vanessa and Anseloni, with you, studying a book that is coming about in English as we speak. Educandário de Luz, or Educational Institute of Life. Several spirits wrote messages through the medium Chico Xavier. And these messages were focused on giving instruction to Spiritist practitioners. And that's why we need to talk about this. Because we are at a time in which doing the good is an urgency. It becomes an emergency. We were just doing a meeting of the ones that are helping coordinate the efforts of Kardec Radio now. And the message that was open is in the book Living Spring by Emmanuel. And it's titled Listen Now. It's chapter 119. In that chapter, Emmanuel says quite clearly, postponing the good, postponing to do the good is more than a waste of time. It's a waste of God's resources. So here we are, friends, instructions for the Spiritist practitioners wherever you are in the world. And it's very important that we know better how to be effective at achieving the goals of sharing the good news. We need preparation. We need certainly the preparation to make sure that we know how to best serve people, how to best share the consolation, how to best achieve the goals of bringing this light of discernment, as Humberto de Campos says, to everyone who is in need. All right? So that's why we're here at Kardec Radio. We're very grateful for those who are helping. And if you have written to us messages saying that you want to volunteer, we have good news for you. Okay? We have good news. And the good news for you is the following. We are going to contact you because now we can. We know how best you can help us. So in the next 24 hours, you may also listen from us, seeing our email saying, we need you, now we're ready, etc. Good? You're great. Let me read the message of today, and then I'll say hi to everybody so people are coming in, and I can say hi to everybody, and then we can discuss. I know you participate because you're writing here, and as you participate, you're helping in any possible way to make sure that this is happening. We're adjusting the system here to make sure that it's happening. So Carlos Diaz, Carol Correa are helping verify the system. Let me know how it is doing. We're trying different microphones, different things, etc. Okay? So this is how it is for now. And we hope this is good for everyone. And it says here, individual guidelines in the groups. Says the spirit doctor André Luiz. Remember the spirit that wrote the book Nosso Lar? Yes? Nosso Lar, The Messengers, and Life Goes On, and many others. This is the spirit that is coming here to us. Okay? Guideline number 1. He says 7 points. Number 1, count with me. 1. If you have been called to cooperate in a Christian activity group, thank the opportunities to serve and forget your imaginary rights so that the light of duty shines in your path. 2. Paying monthly installments and collaborating with money is not difficult. Give the direct aid of your strength in the work to be performed. 3. Be kind to your companions, the ones that you feel deserve your attention as well. Cordiality is the foundation of peace. 4. Before demanding new manifestations from the spirit friends, do not fail to manifest in turn through acts, words, and actions the sublime values. Okay, the sublime values you have already received. If the exchange with the invisible plane is pleasant, the work of human experience is eminently important. Apply, number 5. Apply the gospel teachings in the daily services to which your heart consecrates. If you are not interested in spiritualizing yourself, it is useless for the higher entities to sacrifice for your own sake. 6. Do not use either criticism or reproach. Do the good that is within your reach, because the problem is not to repeat, "If it were me, I would do it," but to put your personal obligations before Christ. 7. Do not waste time complaining about ingratitude, looking for the thorn, or measuring the stones of the road. Remember that your group is also an orchestra, called to perform the service of Jesus for the divine harmony of life. And if you do not use your competing instrument with due efficiency, music will always live out of sync. These are 7 simple, straightforward points of guidelines for those who are Spiritist practitioners in a group. Yes, it could be a large Spiritist Center or a small Spiritist Center, a home Spiritist Center. He doesn't say, it says group. Group is more than 2 people, right? So, wherever you are, these are the guidelines that he's giving to us. And I'm here sharing with other friends so they can join us in the discussion as well. They can partake in this banquet of light given to us, especially by Andre Luiz today. So let us go say hi to our friends here who are always here with us and who are willing to help as well and are always helping oftentimes. So thank you, Livia, for being with us. Hello, Tiago. We were moved yesterday by your post about the ecumenical effort. So thank you so much for sharing it and for being with us at Kardec Radio and for the works that you do as well. Hello, Rihanna and Nico. How are you? Beautiful works, consistent. Let's keep it up. Keep it. And Adilson, how are you? And Leia Severo. She was just here with us, helping as always. Thank you, Leia. Ceisa, how are you, Ceisa? Danny is here. What a joy. Thank you, Danny. Good to know that you're there. You had a safe trip. Sunshine, how are you? Keep up the good work, Sunshine. Angelita Fraternity Without Borders. How about that? Angelita helping those who are far away and do not have help at all. As Leon Denis says, we cannot experience any comfort without thinking of those who have nothing or who worked in extreme conditions to make that comfort come to us. And we cannot eat without thinking of those who cannot eat. It may sound uncomfortable, but that's the rule of thumb. When we have this charity inside of us, we think of others first and then ourselves. Perola from Germany, how are you, my friend? Raquel from Brazil, how are you? Raquel Basquete and Hipólito, how are you? Alexandra, I can say this, Alexandra is a new host at Kardec Radio, Alexandra Azevedo, and she's a therapist, and she's going to be doing a beautiful work as a spiritist and a therapist, helping bring forth the spiritist teachings on homosexuality, transgender, etc. So wait and see, because her program is coming up soon at Kardec Radio. By the way, have you checked the new website at Kardec Radio? Did you know we have specific links to the podcasts? We have the 24/7 stream, and we have the podcast. So if you want to go there, almost 3,000 podcasts. You can listen to it at any time. Just go to Kardec Radio's website, friends, right? Adilson, did you open this in your meeting too? Ouch, this is unbelievable, Adilson. It shows to us that we're on the same page, and we count on the streaming of your meetings on Tuesdays at Kardec Radio. I will send to you the information ASAP, okay? And Annie Mércia from Belo Horizonte. Annie Mércia is saying, do you have a newspaper, magazine, and so on of a Kardec Radio to send to Brazilian people? You mean the information in Portuguese, you mean, Annie Mércia? Can you send me an inbox message telling me what you're thinking about? I would love to know more, okay? And we'll address it. Thank you. Leandro, our friend from North Carolina. How are you? Teresa Castro, how are you? Nina Dewey. It's good to have you in, Alexandra. Paul Andrade with her group in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. Beautiful, Tiago, that you are doing works in the Catholic Church. And you're right, there shouldn't be any separation, right? Back to André Luiz. Individual guidelines in the groups. If you want access to this message, send me a message at kardecradio@gmail.com. I will forward to you the translation of this message. You know why? Because this would be a good message to have at hand to every Spiritist practitioner in every Spiritist Center. They say, I want to volunteer. Okay, sit down first. Read this, and then you tell me again if you want to volunteer. No, seriously. Any group should go through these guidelines. Why are the spirits spending time for this? So let's read it again. Number 1, if you've been called to cooperate in the Christian activity group, the Spiritist group, thank the opportunities to serve and forget your imaginary rights and focus on your duty. Love, 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 André Luiz. Thank you, André Luiz. Thank you, André Luiz. And this is something we probably should learn at home as we're kids. And I tell you why. Because when we learn manners in our homes, when we're kids, we learn to respect those, the house of others, right? It's about politeness, to say the least. We do not demand anything. We do not think we have any rights. We just serve. We respect authorities. But we are coming to a time on the earth in which there's so much rebelliousness that people dare to come in to organizations that are organized, and of course there's no perfect organization, and there is always this daring attitude of thinking that people know more, etc. So what we would recommend to people who think they have a better idea and it's not the one yet in that organization, feel free to create another group. Feel free to create the group that you want, because according to Kardec, in the Medium's book, chapter 30, the bylaws of the Spiritist Center, 29, actually. He says, each center should organize itself administratively as they think proper. So if you go to a Spiritist Center and you don't agree, think twice. Who am I not to agree? I'm just participating. But I have a wonderful idea. Again, who am I? What am I doing to help? But I think this would help. You may go talk to the coordinators, but ideally, you don't. It's like going to somebody's home. I think they should put this furniture there. I think there was a time I came to somebody else's house and they put their bed almost covering the whole window. I'm not going to tell them, you're blocking the sunlight, the energy entrance. I'm not going to tell them this. Why? Because it's their home. It's not polite. It's not manners. There's no manners, good manners when we say this. We need to rescue that in the Spiritist Center. People sometimes enter the Spiritist Centers just saying, I would know a better way. Say, thank you very much. First you sit down and you help in what we have. Then you tell me how we're going to help. Are you shocked? This is Luiz. Imaginary rights. Why is he saying imaginary rights? Because when we are called to help, we don't have rights. We only have duties. I know some people don't like this, especially people who have that hippie mentality. Peace and love, anarchy, we do whatever we like. No. In Spiritism, we learn there's order. And as Luiz says in the book, Action and Reaction, Chapter 2, order is the foundation of charity. People don't have rights in organizations. They have duties. They have the right to be respected, but they don't have rights. Even I, as a president of the center, I have no rights. I have duties. I will repeat, even if I am the president of the center, I have duties to be fulfilled. No rights. Not even imaginary rights. Hello, Alberto Juarez, how are you? 2. Luiz, thank God, because we're incarnated, he goes to the core. To pay the, donation, the monthly donation, to give the monthly donation, and to collaborate with money, is not difficult. We should directly help the center. And the Cardiac Radio as well. Because Cardiac Radio is supported and sponsored by the Spiritist Center of Virginia. But we were talking in our meeting, the administrative meeting. It has so many platforms for people to listen to. We talk about several different costs, not on Facebook, but the other platforms, from the app to the website to every in and out on the behind the scenes. We're talking about costs. We don't keep asking for donations, but if you go to the website, there's a link, donate. Why? Because it requires money to make the process works. Everybody is a volunteer, nobody gets paid, but the system needs to be paid in order to work. So he says in a Spiritist Center as well, we should at all costs help financially. This is Luiz. 3rd, be kind. Because kindness leads to peace. That takes practice. Because on the earth, sometimes it's hard to be kind. Isn't it? It is hard. When is the hardest to be kind? When there are problems? Yes. When there is a lot of ignorance, which is darkness? Yes. So we can breathe in and out. and say, I am kind. And the back of your mind's going to say, no, you're not. But then you look at yourself in your mirror, look at yourself through your phone camera and say, I am kind, I am loving, I am peace. I am kind, I am loving, I am peace. Daily, before you go to the Spiritist Center, before you meet people to do volunteer work, I am kind, I am loving, I am at peace. We are at peace. The more we work at that end, the more we're going to manifest it. The brain is going to prepare itself, the physiology is going to prepare itself, and we're going to manifest it. It takes training, so that's why we're here together. We are together practicing it. Right, Eliza? Eliza Rodriguez, how are you? And Livia Moraes saying, yes, it's true, we need the money because equipment, supply, service. Exactly, thank you, Livia. So, before demanding that the Spirit say stuff to us, we should actually see if we are applying the values that we already know. Some people are constantly asking for more messages, more spirit messages, more readings. Are we like this? Right? We need to think. Therapeutic question. Apply the gospel in the daily service. And he says, if you're not interested in spiritualizing yourself, then the higher entities are not going to sacrifice for your sake. Did you see what he said? Are you impressed? I am impressed. You know why? Because it's strong when he says the higher entities, they will find it useful to sacrifice for our sake. But I'll give an example. We'll give an example. You look at a child and you want to teach them the ABC. But if they are too young, it's fruitless. If they are not mature yet. So, university teachers are not going to spend time teaching toddlers. Not because they despise toddlers, because toddlers are not ready. So the higher spirits are not going to come and teach us newer things if we haven't learned the old things. That means reading, studying, and complete the sentence, friends. Can we complete the sentence? Read, study, and blank. If you get it, I'll send you a book. Pills of Trust, because that book is helping the project of Fraternity Without Borders. Again, we should read, study, and blank. Serve. Teresa Castro, you got it. If you have the book, we'll send you, Kardec Radio is going to send you another book. Let me know, okay? But that's what it is. Share. Read, study, share. Read, study, share. Read, study, share. Read, study, share. Yeah, of course, leave it. Evolve. But Teresa Castro got it. Like, serve, meaning share. Share, 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 share. Not only on Facebook, but as our friends are saying here, sharing our lives. Share, share, share. Okay? We'll do more quizzes here. Okay? We'll do more quizzes. So, Teresa, send us your address, please. kardecradio@gmail.com so we can send you the book, okay? Practice, Tiago. Practice means share, right? Got it. Thank you. Now, let's go one more here. Do not either criticize or reproach if we are in the group. But that's what we do the most. Do the good that is within your reach. And he says, because the problem is not to repeat. If it were me, I would do it this way. But we actually need to put our personal obligations before Christ. Sincerely, when we have time to look back, to step back and say, if it were me, I would have done this, it's a sign that we are not occupying our time enough. Because when we are, we don't have time to keep evaluating other people's business. So, do not either criticize or reproach. And do not waste time complaining about ingratitude in the group. Looking for the thorns or measuring the stones of the road. And it's interesting, measuring the stones. Like, did you see that? Of course, we share with people sometimes just to know how to come around. But that shouldn't block us from keep on going. I know people get tired sometimes and they say to me, Vanessa, I try my best. I spent years doing this, but I got tired. People are so ungrateful. And I say, but you forgot to renew yourself. Renew yourself every time with the Master. Remember, when we have Jesus, it's hard on one end, but then we turn to Him and say, joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let heavens and nature sing. Exactly, because when we are with Jesus, we renew ourselves. If we keep looking down, it's heavy, but look up. You feel tall, you feel stronger, you renew yourself, begin anew. Ideally, at the end of each day, we begin anew. The sun goes down, and I think of what I've done, not others. How can I do better tomorrow? Revisit the whole thing without punishing yourself and say, I love and approve of myself, and I will work more on this because I deserve to progress. I am a child of God. And visualize yourself before you go to sleep, before the prayer. We visualize ourselves already conquering that step. Go to sleep praying to reinforce the lessons in the spiritual realm. When we wake up, more likely than not, we'll be prepared. We'll be prepared. Don't forget to pray before you go to sleep. Don't forget to read a message before we go to sleep. Right, Sunshine? Sunshine is saying, Chapter 9 of the Gospel. Jesus' doctrine teaches of obedience and resignation. Two very active companion virtues of meekness, although people erroneously confuse them with a negative sentiment and will. Obedience is the consent of reason, resignation of the heart. Beautiful. Thank you, Sunshine. That's the Spirit. That's the Spirit. And Alexandra is saying, give help, share without expectations of rewards, recognition, or gratitude. Perfect. Thank you, Alexandra. That's what it is. You know why? Because Jesus taught us this. He's the guide and model. He was never like, oh my gosh, I have to repeat the same lessons again. Every time he would give, like Alexander saying, help, share, no expectation, recognition of gratitude like zero, like he wouldn't expect. It's like parents and children. We give to them knowing that they still don't know what we're doing, what's happening on the behind the scenes. And let's never demand on them anything, because parents are supposed to give. Parents are supposed to give. They are supposed to give. So do not waste time complaining about gratitude. And he says, remember that your group is an orchestra. So imagine an orchestra to perform the service of Jesus for the divine harmony of life. And if you do not use your competing instrument with due efficiency, music will always be out of sync. So sometimes we think the group is out of sync, and we ask, maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. I am out of tune. Oh my gosh, I thought it was my neighbor, my friend, the other one, and it's me, right, Tiago? Tiago, you're a musician, so you know what Luiz is talking about. And Tiago is asking, what is when we do not to feel like talking to God as if our hearts are blocked and hardened? Let me see if I understand. When people feel like not praying because they're feeling blocked? Is that what it is, Tiago? Is that what it is that you're asking? That they feel blocked? Am I right? I think that's when Jesus said we need to feel the scriptures. So what do we need? You know, I'll give you an analogy. In the lab, when we're doing experiments with tissue, for example, tissues of the brain, when I want to study a particular tissue, and I want to know what kinds of proteins are there, what kinds of molecules, what kinds of receptors, etc. So before I actually insert the binding antibodies, I need to make the cells permeable. So what do? I create holes in the membranes of the cell, and I create those holes in the membrane of the cell by using a substance that is like soap. It opens holes, and the antibodies can go through the membranes and bind to the target. And then I can stain it and later look at the microscope and see what I need to see. What does that mean? Like nature outside of us or inside of us, psychologically, when people are blocked, we need these soaps to create holes of permeability. So to create holes of permeability, don't be surprised, Tiago, when I say this to you. But as Leon Denis says, he says very kindly to us, pain makes us more permeable to talk to God. Inevitably, when you see people that are hardened in the heart and make it difficult to talk to God, sooner or later they'll go through a stumbling block, a painful scenario to shake them up and make them permeable for the reality of life. That's how it is. As Leon Denis says, pain is law in our planet. Okay? I hope this answers. So pain is the soap that opens holes in our minds, and the light can come through. And we become more open to what we are abundantly receiving and we're not even aware of. Right? Sunshine is saying, would you mind explaining a little more about obedience? As the gospel says, obedience is not negation of sentiment, which means negation of opinion and will. It sounded like Luiz expressed we're not supposed to have opinions, including negative ones, in the Spiritist Center. Okay. Thank you, Sunshine. These are very important questions. And we think it would be easier to understand Luiz's take when we quote that passage from the Beatitudes. Blessed are the meek and peacemakers. for they will inherit the earth. When you look back at Chico Xavier, he was meek. He was not a fighter. And in the world nowadays, we have too much fighters. Even in spirituality in general, people talk about spiritual warriors. And they think it's praiseworthy. But in Spiritism, there is a new pathway. Because it's inspired in the guided model. Look at Jesus, friends. Our guided model is Jesus. He is a Hebrew. And I'm not, he is a Hebrew. Remember, when he incarnated, he was Hebrew. He was in the Judaic tradition. Question: did he go through the process of facing them and questioning them in the temple? No. That's our example. If we don't agree, we don't go there. We need to be as meek as possible. Kardec, Sunshine, in item 341 of the Medium's book, he says that a group will be supported by high spirits under certain conditions. And the first one is perfect, he uses the word, perfect commonality of feelings and thoughts. That means no room for opinions that discord the main direction. Is this dictatorship? No. Do you think No Solar is under a dictatorship system? No. It's what we call moral aristocracy. I know on the earth we're not there yet. I am the president of the Spiritist Center of Virginia, and I'm not more evolved than other friends. Not at all. Likely, I'll be much less. But when the group is asked to go to a certain direction, we need to work peacefully with the directors of the center, like friends, like really friendly, peacefully, peacemaking, in a meek manner towards it and fulfill it. Because those who have always second opinion, if it were me, I would, blah, 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 they're not helping. I'll give you another example, okay? Let me give you a true example. The current president of the Brazilian Spiritist Federation, Jorge Godinho Neri, he lived in the United States for a few years in a mission of the Air Force at the time. Now he's retired. Back then, he was not the president of any Spiritist organization, but he was a very experienced Spiritist practitioner, to the point that he was one of the first people who coordinated the systematic studies of Spiritism in Brazil, implementing it in Brazil. But he was the advisor, one of the advisors of Nestor Mazzari, people who were in the International Council, etc. When he was in the United States in 1997, he was personally recommended by the Nestor Mazzari, people who were renowned in the studies of Spiritism. And yet, I'm going to say this to you, okay? And yet, in the Spiritist Center, where he was affiliated in the U.S. temporarily, the directors of the center, irrespective of his experience, irrespective of his recommendations, they said to him, you sit, attend the meetings, and wait. And he was there for a year, attending the meetings for a year, not being asked to coordinate meetings, not being asked to say a prayer, not being asked to give passes, not being asked to be in a mediumistic meeting. Until one day, they looked at him and said, can you start helping us now? I know this is an extreme, but this is the example that we should follow. Godinho never raised his voice and said, I have a better way. I know better. You guys are doing wrong. But you know what happened when they gave him room? Then he started implementing, when he was brought in to the tasks, he started implementing more things to help the directors. And then he left back to Brazil because he was here temporarily. So this is an example for us of how we enter a center, as André Luiz says, and we don't think we have any imaginary rights, or we don't criticize either, or reproach, thinking that we would do differently. We respect, and we wait peacefully, and when we're called, we really help. So this is the best example I can give of how André Luiz, and I saw it with my own eyes, and I tell you, it works. It works. It's a task for us to be peacemakers. Like Jesus, he never entered the temple of the synagogue, never asked anybody, never reproached. He did his thing. This is to be meek. This is to be a peacemaker. We don't go elsewhere and we start. But I know, I would know better. Okay, thank you, Sunshine, because your question is exactly what André Luiz is saying. So it helps all of us visualize what to do, okay? So we really need to work at that end, like an orchestra, and we need to play your instrument. So question for you and I, what's your instrument in the Spiritist Center? You playing it? What is it? In a Spiritist group, what is that instrument? Are you playing it, or are we out of sync? I don't know. Tomorrow when we come back, we'll have another Spiritist teacher, a spirit teacher that you haven't heard before, Maria Dolores. Yes, Maria Dolores is gonna come. She has several messages in this book. One of them that is striking, it's not a poem, it's actually several questions. And it's almost like a quiz. You want to quiz yourself on Spiritism as a Spiritist practitioner? Yes, I agree. We're about time to run a quiz here. Come back tomorrow because Maria Dolores is going to run a quiz for us, for all the Spiritist practitioners, okay? In the meantime, let us work on André Luiz's instructions, live better, feel more at peace, and tell ourselves, I am kind, I am loving, I am at peace with everyone in my group. Thank you, Marilene. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Paula. All of our friends. And God willing, we'll be back tomorrow with the adorable Maria Dolores.